This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the town of North Haven.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Board of Police Commission regular meeting for September 24th of 2019. To my left, my name is Dave Mons. I chair the commission. To my left is Larry Lazaroff, the vice chair. And to his left, Robin Wilson, our secretary. To my right is Commissioner Mark Calafiore. And to his right, Commissioner Alden Mead. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the July 23rd, 2019 meeting, both regular and executive session?
Can I make one possible change?
Absolutely. Well, why don't we have a motion and a second, then we'll discuss. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion?
Yes.
Now you're on.
It's a minor, but at the bottom of page 1, it says that the chairman stated that as soon as the milling and paving is completed, striping and speed signs will be deployed. The signs were up several weeks before the striping was done, so it's minor, but this makes it accurate.
Hey, could we make that change to, okay, great. Yeah, and it's just the July meeting minutes because we had no meeting in August. Any other comments on the minutes? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? May I have a motion for approval of the monthly reports for both July and August 2019?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Madam Secretary, correspondence?
Yes, we have a number of thank yous. We have one which is thanking Sergeant Wozniak and Cantelli for taking the time to come and educate us on active shooter situations. We have a second one from a resident just thanking the police department at large in general for all they do to protect all our families in the community. And we have another thank you for a resident whose grandson did a ride-along with the police department. And she was very grateful for that as well.
Excellent. That's it? That's it? Great, thank you. Chairman's report, I've got a couple of very brief items just to bring everybody up to date. On July 31, the chief and I attended the police retirement board meeting. Trinity Point, the manager of the pension fund, presented their performance review and prospective fund management. I think I walked away, and I think the chief walked away feeling that Trinity Point was appropriately managing the pension fund even in somewhat turbulent market times. On August 25th, we recommissioned the police building from which we are now broadcasting. And I want to thank both the chief and the deputy chief for putting together what I thought was a very, very nice ceremony, which was well attended and I think very well received by everyone who was there.
Yeah, I'll second that. That was really very nice on you and Kevin's part.
Quick traffic update. The 4 new solar-powered speed monitors have been deployed. I suspect that they will be moved around to appropriate spots in town over time. And to just follow up on the Ridge Road issues that we've been discussing over the last couple months, as Larry pointed out from the minutes, Ridge Road has been milled, paved, and as of yesterday, striped to provide greater visibility to drivers and hopefully enhance pedestrian safety. It looks really nice. And one final note of remembrance, Walter Garch passed away at age 95 on September 14th. Walter had served the town of North Haven as first selectman, as chairman of the police commission, and he was a former sergeant within our department. Walter also served as a U.S. Marine in the Pacific Theater during World War II. On behalf of the entire commission, we'd like to extend our thoughts, prayers, and condolences to the Garch family and thank them for Walter's service both to our town and to our country. With that, I'll turn it over to the chief for the chief's report.
Excuse me, before,
Oh, certainly.
can I ask a question or make a suggestion? So the signs, the speed signs are up on Ridge Road, and it gives you the speed that you are traveling. Now, in other communities, it usually has the posted speed limit above what your recorded speed is at the moment, so that therefore the driver is aware of what you should be doing besides seeing what you are doing. In this case, it's not, and I know I discussed with Chief briefly. We thought we'd discuss it at this panel here to see if maybe we should do that, posting the speed limit of what it should be above what you are actually doing. Now, I know that they actually are speed limit signs posted along Ridge Road, obviously, but the whole intent of this is to make sure people are aware of not only how fast they are going, but how fast they should be going.
Yeah,
In other communities, that's the way it's done.
Yeah, I think further south on Ridge, that's the way Hamden is doing it.
Exactly. Other
I think as long
communities
as you don't feel it's distractive, I think it's a good idea.
Almost every other place I've driven that has for
Yeah.
speed has the speed
Well,
for
I'll
that
check with the
road.
traffic sergeant and see if that can't be done.
Yeah.
You know, see if they can't.
I think it's very informative
Yeah,
for the drivers.
I think it is too.
Okay.
I think it's a good point, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, if you don't know what the speed's supposed to be, you don't know whether you're supposed to slow
If you're
down
braking,
either.
if you're
Right.
above or below it.
Is it a simple switch to do, or?
It's actually posted
I think
paper
you
usually.
post
Yeah,
a
like a metal.
sign
Yeah.
on the
Oh my God.
monitor.
It's built for it.
I got you.
It's built to hold it.
Okay.
Okay.
Chief's report?
Okay, and just to echo your earlier comments on Mr. Garch, we extended our condolences as well, and I wanted to thank our honor guard and two of our lieutenants that actually participated in the funeral services. Family asked if we would participate as far as being pallbearers, and they did do that. He was a friend of law enforcement. He served our community well, and we were honored to do that for him. As far as our budget goes, we are within our expectations. Just a quick reminder to the board, the personnel line might look like it's a little bit inflated, as far as and that's because the dispatcher's contract we spoke of, I believe, at the beginning of the summer, and the clerical contract had been settled. There are no changes in our personnel line to accommodate that. However, at the end of the fiscal year, the Board of Finance will make an adjustment. So we should be in good shape. At the same time, we also, this is the time of year, July, August, and September, when you have your maintenance contracts come due. All of your vendors know that municipal government, state government, municipal government, at the beginning of their fiscal years, this is when they tend to be, if you want to use the word fat or bloated as far as the budget goes. So this is when your maintenance contracts usually come due. So you may see a little uptick as far as that goes. Same thing with the overtime. Our overtime line, we fronted some expense to cover the milling and the paving traffic assignments, and any money that is spent out of our line item, our overtime line on that will come back to us through the bond package, the bond money. As far as our uniform services and our ISU, or investigative services, overdoses during July and August, there were 5. One was a fatal overdose, an individual that was visiting from Hamden. As far as our major crimes, we did have a slight uptick in our commercial burglaries at nighttime, with 9 that were reported during the 2-month summer period there, 4 which occurred on the west side of town. There was 1 street robbery with a gun that occurred at a motorcycle club that we have here in town. Somebody that was a guest attending the party was robbed of his jewelry. Detectives are also investigating one sexual assault that occurred during that summer span, with the suspect being an acquaintance to the offender. Our stolen vehicles were actually down a little bit. We had 2 vehicles that were stolen. Of course, they were unlocked with the keys inside. And there was one motorcycle that I kind of felt a little sorry for the individual. He actually locked his handlebars, but somebody stuffed the motorcycle into a caravan type vehicle and left with it. So at least he made an effort to lock his stuff. Our support services and traffic, the bid for the 3 police vehicles that we have in our capital budget for this year was awarded to Bob Thomas Ford of Hamden. He was the lone bidder, and we'll be trading 3 vehicles that are, they became high maintenance and high mileage vehicles, so we're going to offload those.
Did you say he was the lone bidder or the low bidder?
The lone.
Lone, okay.
What type of car are we getting?
It'll be the Ford package that is the utility interceptor, similar to what we have now. The milling and paving is nearly completed throughout the town. Roads are scheduled to be restriped. As the chair mentioned, our 4 new solar-powered speed monitors that we had purchased, they are all deployed. One is on Ridge Road. There is one on Hartford Turnpike, and that would be near coming down the hill as you approach Homewood Avenue. And one is on Spring Road. The last one was erected over at Bassett Road near Corey as you're going out towards Quinnipiac. We still have the older speed monitor that we can move around as well. The solar ones they're not permanent by any means, but what we're doing is we're trying to highlight those troubled areas, the ones that we always have issues. The collector roadways we always have issues with. So we have the older one that needs to be, I guess, plugged in and recharged the old-fashioned way. That one is up on Ridge near Weaver, because we had some concerns up there as well.
Has there been data collected on these 4 new?
The one that I have here, which I thought was pretty interesting, was the one that you were just talking about on Ridge Road over by Sunset, over that way. And it's going southbound. I pulled, this report was pulled on the 9th of September, and it was up for the better part of 3 weeks. And it's consistent with what the earlier reports that we had. You have your 85th percentile speed is 33 in the 30 zone. So, you know, the average speed is at the 30-point mark. I think what's interesting on this report is the circle that's depicted here, and that Cape Cod blue color is the effectiveness of the sign itself, and basically 67% of the people slow down or cover their brake. So you're getting some type of benefit from it being there. So I think that's an interesting statistic there.
Do they have backup power sources, or is it pure solar?
Those are solar. Okay. Those 4 that we have are solar.
And how long do they stay energized for? Like, if it
I
gets,
guess from what I understand, they could stay energized until,
they can, even if it's a really overcast
yeah, I would imagine.
period of time
I
for a
imagine
couple
like
days.
weekend, maybe in January or February, if you have a couple of weeks of cloud cover, but
It's probably weeks.
Yeah.
With the watches
Good.
myself.
yeah. We have 2 traffic complaints that one of them, a resident from Skiff Street that I met with, and I think we resolved some of his issues. We're going to increase some of our radar enforcement over on the lower end of Skiff as you go down towards Whitney, and actually when you come up towards Whitney. His concern was pretty much that you have more people actually going faster going up the hill. So we're going to approach that. The second complaint is one that was before the board back in 2017. It's come back again, and I've made copies of for the board of the individual's emails. I think at one point he felt that we weren't getting back to him, when in fact this second piece of paper that I'll share with you. And again, the gentleman that's inquiring about this is, I know him as he's a good guy, but I think what he's doing is he's having some trouble, perhaps as he's getting older, perhaps getting through that intersection of State and Broadway. It's a three-way stop sign. Actually, technically, it's a four-way stop sign when you consider the drivers coming out. And as I said back in 2017, when we talked about this at the April meeting, that can be an intimidating intersection for anyone. But again, if you don't have the reflexes that you may have had in years past, then maybe it becomes even a little bit more difficult to navigate that place. I get it. Unfortunately, it's a state intersection. Secondly, we've had 22 accidents there in 19 years. So that's not an awful lot when you consider that your average daily traffic, what they call the ADT, according to the state of Connecticut, is 8,100 cars a day going through that intersection. So you have 8,100 cars. Now that was the last time they did a count over there was, I think it was 2013, somewhere around there. That's just the way that the state will do their traffic counts. They'll do a third of the state every year. So you're not going to get last year's numbers on all your intersections. It's going to take up to 9 years or 6 years to get everything done or whatever.
I tell you, I travel that route every day to work and from work, and that's a tough intersection.
Right.
It is.
It's tough. And
I don't think it's age related, to be honest with you. It's concerned that people go through there without care.
Yeah. So the thing is, we've had and we've had enforcement over there during the same time.
I've seen a lot more squad cars lately over there.
So when you look at the 19-year history, and I'm going back to 19 years only because that's when, in 2000, when we changed our computer software, because everybody was worried about Y2K and losing everything that we had prior. All of our software going from 2000 until today, you have 22 documented accidents in 19 years. And when you're handling 8,000 cars coming through that intersection, that's not a bad number at all. And we have had, upwards to 580, almost 600 traffic stops there in that same 19-year history. So what Sergeant D. Pascal, who's running our traffic division, told this individual is basically it's being kicked over to the state again, and that's about the best we can do for it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Can I bring one other traffic thing up before you leave that subject? So the corner of Windsor Road East and Homewood, so there's a new development there. It's about 5 or 7 houses. They extended Windsor Road East, and so now it tees into Homewood.
Right.
There's no stop sign there. There probably should be, but I would leave that up to you. I would just ask you at some point in the not too distant future, go take a look at the intersection.
No, there should definitely be one there.
Coming down
And I-
Homewood, it's a
I don't
curvy.
think, I don't even think that's something that would require a study. I think if someone wanted to make a motion, we could put a stop sign there tomorrow.
I'd make a motion for that, because I see that every day
Yeah,
also.
I'm sure you go through that.
Yes, that's.
I'm just happy they finally cut the grass over there.
That's a given.
Oh,
That is a given. I mean, you would think that,
No, I'd make that motion for stop sign at that
So we
point.
have a motion and we have a second from Mr. Calafiore. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
it should
Thank
all
you.
be that easy, huh?
Thank you.
That's common sense, that one.
Let's see, Second Point Road, the railroad crossing, maybe the rails were replaced the past 2 weekends. There's a double rail there now, and they had to take one of the crossings out during the weekend of the 14th and the 15th. They did the second rail crossing this past weekend. That work was done at night to lessen any impact on traffic. So that should be done in itself. What happens down the road when they finally decide to do the bridge at, over the Quinnipiac River there is going to be something of, that's going to be an interesting thing. We're going to have to really sit down and iron that one out.
When's that gonna be?
I don't know, the money's been on the table for probably 15 years. Right now, you see rebar on the, on the side of that bridge. It's just a matter of time before the sides go in. But that's, the only thing I'm concerned about is the detour traffic,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
Is that a town project or is that a state project? Do you know?
I thought it was a town project because the town, I think, had supplied some.
I think you're right.
There's
It
some
is
money
also.
that's been banked somewhere, I think, for that. Yeah, that goes way back, I think, when Rich Brannigan was the director of Public Works.
Yeah, that's going to take some planning because that is a heavily used road.
And the other thing is, you know, when they do it, you know, and there's some other work that needs to be done at that corner as well. Somebody recently told me that the UI company was talking about taking the wires that go underneath the trestle, the railroad trestle, and take those and put them underground. So that would mean excavating underneath the bridge. And that bridge isn't wide enough now for, you know, sometimes when you go opposite traffic, you get that hinky feeling when there's somebody coming the other way and you got the wall on your other side.
Absolutely.
So that's going to be something I think that's going to have to be done at nighttime as well. But I'll keep you posted. As far as our records professional standards, Officer Stevens had graduated from the Milford Academy on July 10th. He's nearly ready for solo patrol. I believe he has 3 weeks left. He was actually given an award by his instructors down there at Milford for, what was the Danny Wasson Award. Danny Wasson was a police officer from Milford that was killed on the line of duty back in like 1984, maybe 1985. And they established an award for police recruits based on Dan Wasson's just his persona and just the way he went about his police work, and then they gave that to Stevens. So I think that was a nice honor for somebody from North Haven to get something. It's very, very competitive.
And what's the honor for? What's it, grades or?
It's I think it was more or less just the way he just presented himself among his peers and his instructors. It was just a
Character?
yeah. It really was. It was something that was kind of special, you know. And I'll tell you what, there were some Milford people in that class. So for him to steal that from them, I'm sure that you know, it meant a lot.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. He was a very strong candidate when we interviewed him.
And then Officer Mateo, he graduates tomorrow. So
Wow.
he's getting out of post, and then he begins his 10-week field training almost immediately, right? He's gonna, by the end of the week, he's in a car on Thursday with someone. And Officer Carter, she started up at post on July 5, and because she's in a commuter class, it's gonna be just slightly longer, because there's gonna be no early morning classes, there's, no early morning PT, there's not gonna be any nighttime classes, so that commuter class is gonna be slightly longer, so we expect her somewhere around the first of the year, shortly thereafter.
And where is she? Where
She's
what
up
academy?
She's up in Meriden, and Meriden is running
Oh, really?
a commuter class, yeah.
Is that unique now, or they're starting to do that? 'Cause
To be honest, I thought perhaps they were gonna do it to, number one, I thought the state police they were gonna just double up a class,
right.
and they were gonna use the dorm space, but, I guess I was wrong on that one. As far as our radio and building, obviously, we're back home here. As the chair mentioned, we had the recommissioning of the building on the 25th. It did go well. We appreciate everybody that participated. We still have a punch list that needs to be completed. There's some things that may take a few months to get, buttoned up, especially with the winter that's coming. If there's any outdoor work that needs to be completed, we want to make sure it gets done right, so it may need to wait until March or April, but, I'm good with that. I hope everyone else would be too, just to make sure it's done right. We've received some good quotes to finish the paving that's just outside of our fence over going towards the town hall side, and equally good quotes for putting some bollards, some steel bollards on the other side of this aluminum fence that we have out here, this decorative fence. It's just a matter of time before somebody coming in to work for the town hall bumps that fence. We don't want it to be damaged. We don't want anybody to be plowing snow up against it. So we're going to put some concrete, or steel bollards, put some concrete in them, and we'll put those over there. And the best part of that is we're still within budget, so, that's something good. As far as the W.T. Benary Scholarship, I do have one request or submission, and that would be from Sergeant Wozniak for a graduate course that he had taken and completed, and he would, I would hope someone would look favorably on that.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then the other matters I have are for executive session.
Can I ask you about the ring arrangement you have with the neighborhoods and how that works? 'Cause I know I've seen them on TV, obviously.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we had somebody reach out to us from, I think it was Fox 61. They wanted to do a story on it. And basically, it's if there's a criminal act that occurs on your street, what you can do is, we could reach out to this ring company and see if they have any residents that are willing to share any information with us, any video with us.
So who initiates the conversation? Is it the ring company, or is there
The
a company?
ring
or-
company would contact the homeowner.
And then they reach out to you guys?
And
Okay.
that's how that's done, yeah.
Gotcha.
And so if any of our residents want to buy a ring, do we get discounts since we're part of this program?
Well, I don't think we do we?
They don't want to have an incentive that links the police with their customers, so it's all voluntarily.
That's what I was gonna say.
So it's just a regular ring
You can actually upload any video footage to the neighbor's site.
Right.
that allows you to, it's like an updated neighborhood watch.
Exactly.
Right, so it's really not a coalition between the PD and the ring company, it's just, okay.
It seems like there was a recent article in the paper, but it didn't have to do with North Haven. I think it had to do with Wallingford, but it seems like it's becoming a pretty effective crime
Yeah,
fighting
it's,
tool.
it's catching on.
Those
no.
cameras have really good resolution.
They're not bad, you know, for a doorbell.
Yeah, for a doorbell.
You know, and I would expect that the other company there, Nest, would probably follow suit.
I suspect so.
You know, like I said, we could reach out to them to see
Right.
if they have anything. They'll do the contacting of people and then say.
That makes more sense, because the way I was listening to the news or even reading about it, it seemed like they were actually collaborating with the police departments to form this bonding,
Yeah.
and it's not at all the way it is, obviously. Okay, that clarifies it, thank you.
So I just have executive matters.
Any other comments from the commission?
Any grievances, complaints, any issues that we should know about, or no? Nothing?
Maybe under executive session.
Executive for grievances? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
So may I have a motion to adjourn regular session to move into executive session?
Sure.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We're back in regular session, and I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
All right.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.